Another, you could say, night story is that I grew up with a Marine person that is, I suspect, have done crimes, right? But he was also like a very intelligent person, and he was eccentric and dramatic. He was a little bit like a film star that were caught up in some unpleasant situation. Europe is not that friendly in general, but I think that Esperanto is a language that were invented. I think it was invented after the Second World War as a sort of attempt to try and create a diplomatic language that would be like international diplomat worldwide language, so they didn't have the learning problem about different language. Esperanto is a mix between a lot of language. It's not ordered. I think there's maybe a little more Latin, but it's it's a very unfamiliar language for most people. You have to look it up to understand what it is. But I noticed that when I made like lyric diary, or if I was writing a mail, or if I was writing a script, or if I was writing a report, one of the problems I had was the spelling. And in Danish, I got like some mistaken spell problems, right? I'm also verbally stronger in Norwegian and Swedish than I am in some writing, right? And German, I speak German pretty good, and my sister, which have lived in England and speak very good English, is and live outside, surprised about the English and German speaking. But I noticed lately that if I look at the things I've been involved in, that will say negotiation, that data that was abused for entertainment or music or something, I noticed that the spelling in what I wrote, and that will say the Danish English spelling, is actually very incorrectly. It's often as confused as you might think that the person didn't get an English lesson. So when we're talking about theft, that would say ID theft, text robbery and stuff like that. It might indicate that some didn't really care about what language and how it was spelled. They maybe just took some of the things and used them as they were written, but the spelling was not good. That could be because the person was from a nation where they don't understand spelling that well. It could be like Latin, another foreign language, right? So I actually, when I run over a lot of the comments and when I run over my text work, which were used by artists, for example, for me it's more like Esperanto. It looks a bit like the spelling. It's probably not correct spelling Esperanto, but it's likely that it's a mix between English and some words is not used anymore. If you see, there was just an English talking guy saying swallow, right? I had a swollen ankle, I had a swollen leg. And as far as if I use the English a dictionary, if I go and see what swollen means, right, in an Oxford way, that would be like 10, 20 things. So there's also a user word that's maybe unfamiliar to the people that uses the text word, right? And often when you hear English music in the radio in Denmark, most people don't know what the text is about. That maybe they don't understand English in the way that they understand this special use word or slang, or and some have difficult to hear the words. Most people don't hear the lyrics clear, right? You have to define the lyrics from the music, and that you have to learn that. It's not everybody cannot, unless the singer is alone in the music, you could say. But I realized that if I go over my music text work, it's a diary, and it's a lot of unfamiliar serial crime discovery, or Cold War subjected, or feelings about serious crimes and stuff like that. It's a very fine diary, but I guess that it's few people that really understands the text because it's not spelled right. So my warning is a little bit that when I round up a serial criminal, right? When I round up a lot of people use my work, use my account, right? The one ID on all of these people is that the Danish English is not good. It's not the spell right. It's not the right way of using words. It's a sort of copycat Esperanto mix, right? So I don't think I suffer from learning disability. I think I was drawn out of school for doing child labor. It could be like in acting, music, gymnastic. And I think that I was away from school because somebody abused me. So I don't think I have a learning ability when I'm not in school. So basically, I think the reason why I don't speak perfectly or write perfectly English or French or Italian or Danish or Swedish is that I was away from school. And that's why also I think I got mixed up in the things, and sometimes easier for me. Maybe, for example, I have a problem when I listen to Irish. I think Irish is easier to understand than English, some reason, and that that's a very very specific reason why. I also think I use words that most people wouldn't understand the true meaning of it. For example, if you all the reference were to Woodstock and Vietnam War, would they understand the reference of that? No. Would they understand, like, if I say range, what is that, right? If I in, for example, if I say high, not high, but high, would you understand that? In what reference, right? So a lot of things, there's also sometimes a name, maybe, So I think that the discovery of what they would call like a treasure in lyrics, I might disappoint you because my English writing is not correctly, and there's some reference that nobody understands. So in a way you could maybe say that it's maybe not on purpose that I kind of wrote a lot of things so difficult to translate or understand. That's not on purpose, but I think that pirates on purpose used my things without asking me, and so I couldn't like say you can't use this for a text work because it does make sense. I also used, sometimes I made some what you call hook lines, is a commercial thing. For example, I have nothing, right? And that goes again in I have nothing lyric, right? And you could say like the best a man can get. I mean, there's a lot of play with words also in my lyrics, and I'm sorry, but sometimes play with words if you got a wrong reference on the word, or if you got like wrong spelling, it's maybe not that good to sell. Maybe it's only people that are in the area that understand your spelling problem. So I think that it could be interesting to look at the lyrics and the text work from a new angle, which is, what if this spelling is not correctly? What if it's more like a mix as like in Esperanto? What if the reference is more due to my true past, which is traveling around and conflict dealing and stuff like that. Did anyone think about that I had a life beside of being abused in artistic industry?